Right, so how is everybody feeling this morning? Any aches or pains that I need to be aware of? Fighting fit? So today, the routine, we're working towards Super Soldier. So it's a pretty new pose, it's a pretty dynamic pose. So the whole routine is working at strengthening the legs, opening the chest, and opening the hips and stretching the thighs. So we'll start by seated. So if you want to come to seated, easy sitting pose, cross-legged. Bring your hands to the back of the knees. Pull up on your lower abs, lengthen the spine. Close your eyes and just take a few breaths and get ready for your practice. So lengthen through the neck and slow, even breaths in and out of the nose. And open your eyes. Inhale, raise your arms overhead. Exhaling, put the left arm out to the side and bring the right arm overhead, keeping both sit bones on the floor. Really make sure you're stretching through this right side, really reaching. And we'll just take a few breaths. So inhale and exhale, try to reach and bend a little further over to the left. Then inhaling, both arms back up to center. Drop the right arm down to the floor and left arm stretches overhead. Again, keeping both sit bones on the floor and really extending through this left side all the way to the fingertips. You can bend that right arm if you want to lean a little bit closer towards the floor. And then inhale, back to center. Now put the palms of your hands onto your knees. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, lengthen the back of the neck. And exhaling, start to lean into those knees, pressing the knees down while you're actively trying to pull them up. So on the exhale, really try to pull those knees up while you're actively pushing them down. And release. So slowly bring both legs together. So the bent, feet flat on the floor. Let your knees roll over to the side. So we're coming into like a side sit. Bring your hands into prayer. And then I want you to press into this right shin and lift your hips and bottom off the floor. So you've got two options. You can lift up and just come to the knee and release back down. Or you can lift up, straighten that back leg and sit down that way. So inhale, lift up, really push those hips forward and release back down. Do two more. Inhale and release back down. And the last one on this side. Inhale, push the hips, lift the chest and release back down. And we can put another bend in that left leg if you've straightened it. Stay where you are. Bring your left hand to your right knee, right arm round the back for a gentle twist. Gaze is over the right shoulder towards the back of the room. Inhale and lengthen, and exhale, try to press on that right knee and rotate a little bit further. Then inhaling, looking forward, coming back to feet flat on the mat, and we'll roll the legs over to the side, to the left side. So arms to chest, inhale, press into that left shin and push your hips off the floor and release back down. Inhale, lifting back up and exhaling back down to the floor And we'll do one more. Inhale, then back up, pushing the hips forward, and release back down. So right hand to left knee, left hand towards the back. Inhale and exhaling, rotating over the left side. Again, pressing into that left knee with the right hand to help rotate a little bit further. And then inhaling, release, come back to center. Want to cross your feet here and roll over into tabletop. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Inhaling, raising that right arm into the air, and exhaling, threading it under that left arm for thread the needle, bringing that shoulder to the floor, gaze up to the ceiling. Inhaling, raising that right arm back to the floor, gaze follows the hand, and exhaling, thread that needle. Hips are into the air, hips are as square as they can be. Inhale, lifting that hand again, last one this side, and exhaling, threading back through. Shoulders to the floor, gaze to the ceiling. And inhaling, turn back to neutral, and we'll do the same on the left side. So again, just check that your wrists are still under your shoulders, knees are under hips. Inhaling, lifting that left arm, gaze following the hand. Exhaling, threading that under, bringing the left shoulder to the floor and gaze up to the ceiling. Inhaling again, raising that hand, and exhaling, threading it back through. Last one, inhale, follow that hand up to the ceiling, and exhaling, threading it back through. See if you can fold a little bit deeper now. And then inhaling, return your hand back to tabletop, and we'll do a few cat-cow. So inhaling, lift your hip bones up to the ceiling, raise your head, dip your chest, and exhaling into cat. Really pull on those lower abs, reaching your back up to the ceiling, push into the hands and the knees, and exhaling back into cow. And just do a few more in your own time. Then get ready to tuck your toes and push back into down dog. So lift the hips up into air, really press into those hands. Gazes to the navel, loose neck, no bunching around the shoulders. And just take a few breaths. Make sure those hands are spreading, pressure into the base of your middle finger and your thumb. So the next inhale, lift your right leg into three-legged dog. Keep your hips square, your toes facing down the mat. Really pushing into those hands. And then exhaling, bring your right leg through into a low lunge. Don't drop the knee yet. And lift, tuck the back toes and lift your hands. And just take few breaths, really inhale, stretching the spine and the back of the neck, and exhaling, releasing further into that lunge. So you can drop the back knee here, bring your hands to the floor, start to push your hips back and peel that heel off the floor, hands reaching forward into half splits. If you're comfortable here, you can really press into the heel of that right foot And raise both hands off the floor, reaching your chest forward and feeling a deeper stretch in that right hamstring. Then bring your hands to the floor, rocking forward and then sending that back leg, the right leg back into down dog. And just take a few breaths. So really lengthen that spine, push into the hands, sit bones up into the ceiling. And the next inhale, raise that left leg into the air. Again, hips square, feet facing down. And exhaling, bring it back through to the left hand and come back into a low lunge. Really press back into the heel of that right leg. Help stabilize the pose. Torso over hips. And then exhaling, hands either side of the left foot, drop the back knee and push those hips back into half splits, left side. And again, if you're quite comfortable here, press into the left heel. You have the option to lift both of your arms, reaching forward. And then drop that hand and rock forward and bring the right leg up to meet the left leg into Uttanasana, forward fold. So you can bend your knees here if you need to keep your lower ribs on your thighs, protect your lower back. Inhaling, come up to half gazing pose. Exhaling, fold back over and inhale all the way up to standing. And release. So just take a few breaths. Inhale, raise the arms on the diagonal, gaze to the thumbs. Exhaling, folding back over into Uttanasana. Inhale into half gazing pose. Exhaling, hands flat on the floor, stepping your right foot back down the mat, followed by your left, and slowly lower to the floor in Chaturanga, keeping your elbows by the side of your body. Untuck your toes, inhale into Urdhva Mukha Savasana. Exhale, folding forward and push back into downward dog. Then inhaling, lifting your right leg up to the ceiling. Three-legged dog. Exhaling, look forward, stepping that foot forward and come into a high crescent lunge. So really lift the hips here. Try and get the hips facing forward and square. And exhaling, hands back down to the floor. Stepping that right leg back, lowering all the way back down to the floor in Chaturanga. Tight body. Untuck the toes. Inhale and lifting up into upward dog. Exhaling, pushing back into downward dog. So inhaling here. Left foot to the ceiling into three-legged dog. Hips facing down. Exhaling, looking forward. Bring that leg through into crescent lunge, left side. Exhaling, hands to floor. Step the right foot up to the left, back into Uttanasana. Inhaling to half gazing pose. Exhaling back into Uttanasana and stepping that right leg back, coming to the knee. To a low lunge, so untuck the toes here. Raise the arms overhead. So here, really come onto the top of your knee. Really feel like your hips are pressing into the floor while you're keeping the spine and the neck extended. Then exhaling, bringing your right hand to the floor, bending this right leg into the bum and seeing if you can catch hold of the top of that right foot. So you're really leaning over the top of that knee. Then release the foot here, tuck the toes, keeping the hands on the floor and push the hips back into an extended angle stretch. So you can bend the knee here, keep your lower ribs on the thigh, And then rocking forward, send that left leg back into three-legged dog. From here, bend the leg, bring the knee into the bum, turn the hips out to the left and lift that knee up to the ceiling for scorpion. And gaze is under the left arm, chest is rotated towards the left. And then inhaling, bring that left leg forward, knee behind the left wrist, foot behind the right wrist into pigeon. Come to the top of that foot and push back into pigeon. Really try to sink those hips down and lift in the chest. Then tucking the toes of the right foot, step back into downward dog. Inhaling, lifting that left leg, back into three-legged dog, and stepping your left foot outside the left hand and come into lizard. So you can drop the back knee if you want here. If you want a bit more of a challenge, you can keep that back knee off the floor. And we'll do 3 little dips coming to the forearms. So that left leg might need to come over onto the outside of the left foot and lift up, lowering back down, inhaling, lifting up. Last one, lower back down and lifting up. So staying where we are, walk that left foot in so it's tight against this left arm. And try to wedge your shoulder underneath your knee and extend the arm out to the side. This is all in preparation for Super Soldier, which you'll see why when we get there. And then releasing, bringing that hand back inside that foot and pushing back into downward dog. So walking your hands back up towards, your feet back up to your hands, sorry. Exhaling into Uttanasana. Inhaling up to half gaze pose. Exhaling back into Uttanasana, and this time step your left leg back, coming into a low lunge on the left side. Arms overhead and bringing them to meet. So again, really pushing your hips into the floor, coming over the top of that back knee. And then start to bend that left knee up to the bum. Bring your left hand to the floor and try and catch that left leg, that left foot with your right hand, rotating the chest round to the right. And gaze is just over that shoulder. Release the foot, bring it back to the floor, tuck the toes and push those hips back, peeling that front foot off the floor so you're on the heel. Feel that nice stretch on your hamstring. Again, bend your knee if you need to keep your lower ribs onto your thighs. And then rocking forward, kick that right leg back into downward dog. And then inhale, lift up to three-legged dog. Again, hips facing down, feet facing the floor. Then inhale, looking forward, bring that right knee behind your right wrist, foot behind left, and come back into lizard, right side. And push back into that back leg. Really feel that deep stretch in your right hip. Then tuck the toes of the left foot and push back into downward dog. Then inhale, lifting the right leg into three-legged dog. Then exhaling, looking forward, bringing that right leg outside the right hand, and we're in lizard, right side. And we'll do 3 dips. So inhale, extend, exhale, forearms to the floor. Again, you can come to the outside of that right foot to create a little bit more room. So lifting up, so here, walk your right hand and leg so it's closer to your right arm. And then try to wedge that shoulder underneath that right arm, that right leg, and bringing your arm out to the side. And bringing your hand back in front of the right foot and push back into downward dog. So inhaling, lifting that right leg into 3-legged dog, lifting it into the air. And now slowly start to walk your hands back towards your left foot. So we're coming into standing splits. You can keep your hands on the floor here, or if you're feeling brave and you have the balance, you can hold on to the back of the ankle or the calf. So start to bend this right leg, bringing the knee to the back of the calf of the left foot. So there's a bend in both legs. Start to lift the chest. So kind of a dragon squat. If you're feeling stable here, you can take your arms off. Or you can leave them on the floor. And then when you're ready, either without touching the floor, with your hands on the floor, I want you to bring this right leg through into like a pistol squat and down to seated on the floor. So keeping the left leg straight down the mat, and we're going to bend the right knee and hold on to the outside of that right foot. And inhale, bringing that shoulder, that knee into the right shoulder, and exhaling, pushing your foot up. So then inhaling, knee back to shoulder, and exhaling, pushing that foot up. So really pull on that foot, really try to lift your lower abs and your back. And then inhaling, bringing that leg in again, and kicking it back out to the front. So you have the option to stay here. If you're feeling like it today and you feel like you'd be able to, the option is to come into compass. So you can hold this right foot with the left hand, bring that right arm underneath the leg, and then kicking that foot to the ceiling, and gazes to the left under the armpit. And release. Coming back to center, and we'll do the same with the left leg. So bending the left leg, holding onto the outside of the left foot, so your left hand is on top this time. We're putting that shoulder, that knee into the left shoulder, and exhaling, kicking that foot out in front. So again, really pull on that foot, flex the foot, flex the toes of the right leg, the right foot, and inhale, bringing that knee back into your shoulder, and exhaling, pushing that back out. Inhaling, knee back into the shoulder, and exhaling, pushing that foot out. So again, the option to come into compass on the left side. Keep hold of this left foot with the right hand. Bring that left arm underneath the left leg and kick that foot to the ceiling. Gaze is to the right, just underneath the armpit, and you'll feel a nice stretch up the right side of your ribs. And release. Cross the toes here, rolling back over and coming back into downward dog. Just for a few breaths. So now is the exciting bit. This is the pose that we've been working towards. So inhale, lifting that right leg into the ceiling, to the three-legged dog, hip square. Step that through to the outside of the right hand. Really work your shoulder underneath this right leg and place your hand outside. Then start to hop this back leg up to the top of the mat. Get your balance, lift that left foot off and grab the top of that foot. If you're stable here, you can start to straighten both legs. Lift that knee up into the ceiling and twist round to the back for Super Soldier or Peaceful Warrior. And just take a few breaths. Then release that, unravel and step back into down dog. How does that seem? Even just grabbing that foot just gets you ready for the pose. It is quite a difficult one. Apparently it's come from break dancing. Just shows you how yoga evolves. That's it, Michael. And then try to kick that knee up into the ceiling. So we'll have a little go on the left side. Now we've done it on the right. So from downward dog, inhale, lifting that left leg into the air, to three-legged dog, looking forward and then stepping that left leg to the outside of the left hand. So you can come to the knee here just to get yourself low enough to really wedge that shoulder underneath that left leg. And then if you're here, could tuck the toes, straighten that right leg and start to hop it towards the top of the mat. Then releasing that right leg from the floor, grabbing the top of the foot and straightening both legs and inhaling into Super Soldier left side. Gaze is down the mat. Very good. So even just getting that far, I find is quite challenging. It's a really good pose, isn't it? Like I said, it's come from hip hop, so it just shows you how everything evolves in yoga all the time. So release then, release back into child's pose, hands stretch down the mat, just to stretch out the back and realign the spine and forehead to the floor. And just take a few breaths. Then start to walk your hands back up towards your shins. So sit onto the heels. Interlace your fingers behind your back. And inhale, pushing those down towards the floor, retracting the shoulders and really lifting that chest, opening the chest. And just take a few breaths. Then releasing the hands here, bring them out in front, interlace hands in front and pushing out, concaving the chest, really stretching, pulling in on those lower abs. And then release there. So come onto your bottom, legs out in front and recline one vertebrae at a time back down to the floor. And we'll come into Supta Padam Ganasana. So inhale, lifting the right arm on 90 degrees. And then inhaling, lifting that right leg to meet the right hand and grab the toes by the peace fingers if you can. If not, hold on to the shin. And just take a few breaths, really flexing the toes of the right foot. And then inhaling, start to bend that right arm, bringing the shoulder to the floor and the foot on the diagonal towards the floor. And then inhaling, that foot back to center. Hold on to the shin or the ankle. And inhaling, lifting the chest, the head up to the knee. And release back down. Release the right leg back down to the floor, and we'll do the same on the left side. So inhale, lifting the left arm up to 90 degrees. Exhale, then inhale, bringing the left foot to meet the right hand, the left foot to meet the left hand. Your right arm can either be alongside the body or out towards the side for balance. And then inhaling, start to bend the left elbow, bring the shoulder to the floor and the foot on the diagonal alongside the ear. And just take a few breaths. And then inhaling, the leg back to center, release the foot toes, grab hold of the ankle, and inhaling, lifting that knee, that head to knee. And release here. So staying on our backs, bend the knees, bringing the heels up towards the bum. See if you can feel the heels with your hands. Then inhaling, push into the feet, push into the shoulders, and lift your hips up into the air for bridge. Interlace the fingers here, the hands, and slowly start to walk your shoulder blades closer together. So here you're pushing your knees towards the front of the room and your chest towards the back of the room, really pressing into those hands to help lift the hips. And chin is into the chest. And then unlace the fingers and slowly recline one vertebrae at a time back to the floor. Bring the knees into the chest and just start to rock sidewards to release that lower back. And then keeping your knees bent, bring the soles of the feet towards the ceiling. Grab hold of the outside of those feet and come into happy baby pose. Really pull in on those feet, trying to get your hips down to the floor, your tailbone down to the floor. And then bring these into the chest and slowly rock back up to seated. So in easy sitting pose again. So inhale, raising the arms. We'll do a small twist, left hand to right knee, right arm behind and gaze back over that shoulder. Inhaling, arms back up to center. Right hand to left knee, left hand behind and gaze over that left shoulder. and release back round to center. So move the feet now into a diamond pose. So bringing the soles of the feet together. So this is determined really by your suppleness. If you're very supple, you probably can have your feet up here if your knees are lower than your lower ribs. If not, you might need to push your feet out a little bit. And then just hold onto the feet, really push those sit bones into the floor, lengthen through the spine and the back of the neck. And just lean forward a little bit, pulling on those toes, on those feet. And slowly shuffle your feet a little bit more forward, so you're more in a diamond pose. Inhale, lifting the chest, lengthening through the back of the neck, and exhaling, slowly start to walk your hands forward as far as you can. So you'll practically be on the fingertips. You're really stretching out through the sides, lengthening the spine. Try not to bunch through the shoulders. And then slowly start to walk your hands back up to center. Release your feet to the corners of the mat. So slowly start to release one vertebrae at a time down towards the mat. Releasing your hands, palms facing up alongside the body. Big inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Last one. And just start to relax. So relax the feet and the ankles. Just let the feet fall out to the side. Let the legs feel heavy. The hips sink into the floor. Relax your shoulders. Feel the shoulder blades. Just relaxing, no tension. And then slowly open the mouth a little bit. Release any tension in the jaw. Soft gaze behind the eyes and relax the forehead. And just begin to breathe in your own time. Don't hold on to the breath. Just breathe what comes naturally. And slowly start to bring the awareness back to your body. Slowly start to move the ankles, the wrists. And a big inhale, stretching your arms overhead, feet together, really long stretch down the mat. And slowly bring your knees into the chest, holding onto the knees with the hands. Really pull the knees into the chest, the shoulder blades down the mat. And then roll over onto the left side, bringing the knees to the floor. And just stay here for a few breaths. And then when you're ready, push back up to seated. Keeping the eyes closed. Easy cross-legged sitting. To rub the hands together, create a little bit of heat. Place the hands over the face. Soft gaze. And start to massage from the temples, the crown of the head, all the way back into the nape. And then release the hands into prayer. Namaste. Thank you very much.